Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Tracy with Artful Creations by Tracy, and today I'm going to be making a slider card that I saw on another YouTuber's channel, and I can't remember her name at the moment, but I will definitely link her video down below. Now, as you can see, these are already been cut out, and I will have all the measurements for you in the description. And I used my Cricut machine instead of using the cutting tool. Now I've already gone ahead and done the folding of the two that you see here. The score marks were at the 3/4 line from the top of the card, 2 1/4 in the middle, and then 4 inch down below. And we're going to be adhering those white pieces that you see off to the right onto these cards. And I'm just going to use this generic score tape that I got off of Amazon. I believe it's probably maybe about a 1/2 inch wide. And what I'm doing is putting it right on the very edge of that piece down at the bottom of the card. I leave a little bit of a gap so that way you can see it's really easy to line up that white piece, and that way I don't have to adhere it down just yet until I make sure it's perfectly aligned. Once I get those aligned, they just flip right over and your card front is ready to be mounted to the back of the card. Now I do the same thing with the back of the cards, putting down this paper tape. I just leave like 1/8 of an inch border around each side so that it's super easy to line up, as you will see shortly. Now these slider cards are really fun. They're interactive, and I would recommend that if you want to do any kind of embossing for this inside sentiment, to do that ahead of time, as you will find when we get towards the end of my video how that was not an easy task to do. And plus it bent the cards up a little bit. I had to have them lay flat for a while, overnight I guess. So here we are, just finishing up putting on this tape so that I can adhere these card fronts. And it's really easy to line them up with that little bit of 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch of a spot. And also by leaving half of the release paper like that. I've seen this done several times on a few YouTubers' videos. It makes it so much easier to align the card onto the back properly without any, or I should say with very less error. I do recommend pulling off the bottom first instead of the sides, because it works out where it lays much flatter that way. Okay, so I've got 2 cards done, and I'm going to just start doing the next 2, but then I'm going to pause the video and move ahead once I get started, and you'll see that in just a brief moment. In the meantime, I will just give a little bit of information about myself. I decided that I was going to start a YouTube channel this year. My goal, of course, was actually June 1st, and that came and went. Lots of things going on in my life, and then COVID, of course. So that was put on hold until September, and here we are. Now what I'm showing you is what is going to go on the front of the sliding cards. I created these in my Cricut machine as well. Did the print and cut feature, and just going to do a little distressing using this Rabbit Hole Designs brush. These are pretty cool. My first time using this particular one, but they come highly recommended. So I am just going to go ahead and give some distress look to all of these pieces that I created on my Cricut machine. And it took me some time to come up with these little cute designs, but I really think they turned out cute and I really like how they came out. Now, I did try to use that, I believe it's pumice stone at first, and it's just way too light for the things that I created, so I went ahead and used the black soot, and I feel like that one just did the trick much better. Now, what you just saw me do was take one of my Cricut pens and just add a few cracks into that headstone to give it a little bit more of an authentic, scary look. I'm continuing to do some more distressing and making sure that the whiteness around the outer edge is covered, and I will go ahead and use another one of my Cricut pens to go around them as well, because it gives it a more finished look. And you know, I am certainly not recreating the wheel here. All these things have been done in other YouTube channels. I've watched a lot of videos over the course of the last year, and I'm just very excited to be able to share some of my content. I do like to recreate cards and give them my own twist, so I hope that in the future you will see lots of things that you like and will subscribe and like my videos and subscribe. I also love using this art glitter glue that I've got from maymaymadeit.com, and that is what I'm using to glue down the pieces here. It is very important to make sure that you are gluing them on the crease so that when you pull the tab on top that it's not stuck to the very bottom. And you definitely don't want to glue them completely flat, because then they won't pop up. So it's a very fine line where you want to put that glue. As you can see, I've tried to show you exactly where to put that glue, and make sure that it goes in on it, comes back, you know, lay it flat, and then I pull it up to make sure that they all work together, which is a lot of fun. I really like interactive cards. Haven't done very many in my day, even though I've been a card maker for well over 20 years. But I love learning new fun techniques, and this is exactly what I'm doing, learning fun and new techniques. And for our last step, I am going to pull out some old-time stamp sets that I have had for many years from close to my heart. These are, oh, I don't even know, probably at least 15 years old, I'm gonna guess. So these particular stamp sets are, I believe, called Happy Haunting, Pumpkin Carving, and Spooky Delights. So I'm going to take a few sentiments, or at least one sentiment from each one of these, and use it inside of my cards. And here is the process that I use for embossing. Of course, you all should know that we use the anti-static to lay down on the area where you want to emboss. What that does is helps to remove any stray embossing powders that might get onto the cardstock that we don't want there, because if you don't remove those, then they will stick once you heat the embossing powder. I really wanted to use white embossing powder. However, even though I have a ton of embossing powder, I don't have any white. So I had to try 3 different kinds of embossing powders to see which one would look best on black paper, and silver is the winner. And I'm going to just use the embossing ink by Ranger. I do have Versamark. This is just the one that I happen to have nearby, and it works just as well. It doesn't really matter what the embossing ink is as far as I'm concerned. Versamark works just as well as the one by Ranger. And so I'm going to go ahead and do each 4 of these cards before I hit the heat tool onto them. just to save time on my end. That way I don't have to have the heating tool on and off, on and off. It's best to make sure it's nice and hot before you heat, so that way you don't have a lot of time on the card. However, with this particular card, even just the little bit of heat really made a difference because it warped my cards. And I tried to hit the heat on the backside, which is a known technique to help with warping. And that really didn't help either. I know that it's probably due to the many layers that this particular card has, plus the type of adhesive I used. I think that made a difference too. If I would have used glue instead of the paper tape glue, that might have made a difference. I don't know. I'll have to try that out in the future. So a little bit more about myself while we're finishing up this technique here. I am a mom of 2 boys. They are teenagers now, 18 and 19, 11 months apart, and just a true joy. I can't imagine my life without them. I'm married to my wonderful husband of 20 years, and we have 2 dogs, and I believe 12 chickens. If you are familiar with people who have chickens, it's called chicken math. That's right. Why is it called chicken math? Well, let's just say that over the 7 years that we've had chickens, it's been many chickens here and there and everywhere. And here we are to the end of my video. I'm showing you my cards and how they are interactive, a little bit warped. As you see, I'll just be placing something heavy on top of them overnight, and I thank you so much for coming to my channel. Thank you. Have a great day.